Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my Line of God's Daily Diary series. As usual, before I discuss what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Diary video, I want to go ahead and read you a chapter from the Bible. Today I will be continuing with the book of Job, chapter 6. But Job answered and said, "Oh, that my grief were thoroughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together. For now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea, therefore my words are swallowed up. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me, the poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me. Doth the wild ass bray when he hath grass, or loweth the ox over his fodder? Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? The things that my soul refused to touch are as sorrowful as my sorrowful meat. Oh, that I might have request, and that God would grant me the thing I long for, even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would loose his hand and cut me off. Then should I yet have comfort, yea, I would harden myself in sorrow. Let him not spare, for I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope? And what is mine end that I should prolong my life? Is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh of brass? Is not my help in me, and is wisdom driven quite from me? To him that is afflicted pity should be shewed from his friend, but he forsaketh the fear of the Almighty. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the stream of brooks they pass away, which are blackish by reason of the ice, and wherein the snow is hid. What time they wax warm, they vanish. When it is hot, they are consumed out of their place. The paths of their way are turned aside. They go to nothing and perish. The troops of Tema looked, the companies of Sheba waited for them. They were confounded, because they had hoped. They came thither, and were ashamed. For now ye are nothing. Ye see my casting down, and are afraid. Did I say, Bring unto me? Or, Give a reward for me of your substance? Or, Deliver me from the enemy's hand? Or, Redeem me from the hand of the mighty? Teach me, and I will hold my tongue, and cause me to understand wherein I have erred. How forcible are right words, but what doth your arguing reprove? Do ye imagine to reprove words, and the speeches of one that is desperate, which are as wind? Yea, ye overwhelm the fatherless, and ye dig a pit for your friend. Now therefore be content, look upon me, for it is evident unto you if I lie. Return, I pray you. Let it not be iniquity, yea, return again, my righteousness is in it. Is there iniquity in my tongue? Cannot my taste discern perverse things? The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. A very painful chapter for Job, who expresses a lot of pain over the test that he is experiencing. And I'll go ahead here and get a summary of it because it's not entirely clear to me in terms of maybe every verse, everything. So it's there's a few you can look up a summary for the chapter yourself. This idea that, of course, that idea of Job wishing for his death is very sad. Also, rebuking his friends, and ultimately pointing out this idea that they should say what his actual sin is, instead of just saying that he has some hidden sin, basically. So that's definitely very interesting, and I like that. That's Job's answer. You know, one thing I think about, which is so painful, is the verse here where Job, he says it's honestly like painful when you read it, because you know how great Job is. You know how great Job is. So this idea of how great Job is, this is what God himself says about Job. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth? None like him in the earth. None. None. A perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. None like Job in the earth. And then later on, in the end of Job 1, in all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. He sinned not in all this his test. So when Job says here, in verse Job 6, 9, this is the verse that definitely was sat wrong with me here. Even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would loose his hand and cut me off. Read the verse one more time. Even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would loose his hand and cut me off. I mean, what kind of pain is Job in that he feels that way, And that's what I end up thinking, is that, like, it's painful, because it's like you just don't wish that for Job. He's basically wishing that God will kill him because of the pain of the test that he's going through. And you know what verse I think of is the man of God, Moses. And I will go ahead here and find that verse. The verse here in Numbers 11:15. And let me read 11:14 and 15. I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand, if I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness. And that verse right there is the verse I think of with Job, because Moses and Job are some of the greatest men in the history of the Old Testament. And when they have this test and you get this moment from them, what I think is how difficult it must have been for them. Because these are men who are so great, have such a level of faith. And this is how they feel about the test they're experiencing. And it's painful, because it's like they're like some of the best, right? Yeah. And they're still feeling that test and that pain from the test. And it's honestly hard to see that. So I want to get a different translation of Numbers 11:15, because of how wow. So the idea is Moses is literally basically saying to God, like, if this is how he's going to treat him, kill him and get him out of there, because he's had enough. And it's actually just so painful, yeah. Absolutely unbelievable, man. And of course, ultimately, God says that, gather the men together, and he tells Moses, gather the 70 elders, and that he'll take from the Spirit, referencing, I believe, the Spirit of God upon Moses, and empowering these other men as well, so Moses will not have to carry the burden alone. And it's incredible, because how much of a test of faith it is for Moses and Job. And it's hard to see that, because the level of faith they're at. Job, in all this, he sinned not. He sinned not. And still he feels this way. And it's actually, like, incredible, because of how how great they are, and the difficulty the immense difficulty of the test they're facing. You know, I love that verse in Numbers 11:15 is so powerful, man. I mean, powerful. I just want to read those verses one more time, man. This is the man of God, Moses, speaking. He says, "And if thou deal thus with me, kill me." Verse before, "I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if thou deal thus with me, kill me. I pray thee out of hand, if I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness." I'll go ahead and end the Bible reading there for today and transition over to what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Dive video. Since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I worked my software engineering job, I lifted back and biceps, and I trained wrestling. And with no further achievements since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I want to go ahead and say thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.